We're going to start with the Ulster football semi-finals. Now, this sets up an absolute clash of the Titans. Kilcoo won and the Glen also won. Both won their semi-finals as was anticipated, but definitely Kilcoo won their semi-final in way more impressive fashion. That's the first one I'm going to talk about here. Kilcoo 3-14, Enniskillen Gales a goal and 9. Hugely impressive victory for Kilcoo. The champs had the wind in their favour in the first half, but by God, did they make that absolutely count. They had a 13-point lead at halftime. Sheelan Johnson stuck away 2 goals in the first half. He is an absolutely outstanding player. Down should do absolutely everything. Connor Laverty should do absolutely everything to get him into the Down setup for next season. Kilcoo were 13 points ahead, as I mentioned, at halftime. Aaron Morgan stuck away the 3rd goal in the second half after a goal had come for Enniskillen Gales from substitute Owen Beacom. Shout out to him. He hit 1-3 off the bench, but just Enniskillen Gales were no match for Kilcoo today. 10 different scorers in total for Kilcoo. They had threats from absolutely everywhere. Interesting enough, no start for Eugene Brannigan. I'm not sure exactly what the detail, don't know if he's injured or what, but considering that they're missing last year's club player of the year, getting him back in could be crucial, and that could give them an absolute turbo boost towards potentially retaining their All-Ireland club title. They might have played this perfectly, because if you're talking about how Kilcoo have done it, they snuck through the Down Championship. I mean, they survived one round on just penalties. The Down quarterfinal, like, just about got through that. And yet, here they are. They've ended up in a position now where they're in the Ulster final. They're against the Watty Graham's Glen side, who looked unbelievable in Derry. And then, talking about their semi-final here against Aaron's own Carrigan, they struggled for long periods. Aaron's own Carrigan, of course, the Antrim champions. The Glen won this game by a goal and 10 to 8 points. But that scoreline flatters the Glen, because Danny Talon hit a last-minute penalty which put a gloss on the scoreline. But right up towards the end, Aaron's own Carrigan were right there with the Glen. And this is a massive, a massive encouragement, not just for Aaron's own Carrigan, but for Antrim football in general. The penalty at the end, that came from goalkeeper John McNabb. He brought down the Glen substitute Stevie O'Hara. The penalty was given and slotted away by Danny Talon. Carrigan won the toss at the start of the game. They played against the win in the first half, and they decided to play a real possession-based game. They held onto the ball for a long time, and the Glen weren't very clinical. They only hit 5 scores from 12 shots, and they went into halftime only 5 points to 4 up, having had the wind. And if I was in the Carrigan dressing room at halftime, I would have been very confident going into that second half. There were stages I thought that Carrigan would do it. The main one was a boomer of a point by Kevin O'Boyle, Antrim footballer, and a real inspiration for this side. And he kicked a cracking score. And it looked at this stage like they might actually do this. They might actually pull off a shock of all shocks against a team that, myself included, are saying are absolutely, definitely All-Ireland club contenders. And then 2 clutch points came for the Glen from Emmett Bradley. That put the Glen 2 points in front after they had initially equalised. They brought it back, and then, sure enough, they went on to win the game with the Danny Talon penalty. However, they will absolutely need to improve before the Kilcoo game, because for long stages of this game, Carrigan just held them. They just frustrated them. The Glen's finishing in the first half was not particularly impressive at all. And it's one of those things where you're looking at saying, Kilcoo have a forward line of Connor Laverty, Jerome Johnston, Paul Devlin, Sheelan Johnson, Ryan Johnston. And if you throw the likes of Eugene and Brannigan back in there, I mean, serious potential in that Kilcoo forward line. Not even just potential. They've been there and done it. They're All-Ireland club champions. The Glen probably are stronger around the middle, like Conor Glass and Emmett Bradley. I've outspoken about, I think, is the best midfield pairing in the country in terms of a club midfield pairing. But if you're talking about, who has the bigger threats going forward, it's undoubtedly Kilcoo. So it sets up a fascinating game between these two sides. Honestly, I was so confident that the Glen were going to knock Kilcoo off their perch this year. That performance in the semi-final has worried me a bit, because Carrigan had stages where they could have kicked on and won it. And, going into the last 10 minutes, they were ahead, and the Glen just pulled them back. If Kilcoo get ahead of them like that, Kilcoo have been around the block. They know how to close out the game. And it'll be one of those things where I'd be looking at it saying the Glen really need to step up the game. I am going for the Glen to win. I've gone for them since the start, but there will be a full preview coming here on Play on GA, because that is going to be one hell of a game. So make sure you stay tuned for that. the Glen and Kilcoo is our official Ulster Club football final for 2022.